Hello everybody. Recently, sorcery clans have become a lot more important in the plot of Kagurabachi, with them being big players in the current arc around the Soga clan, as well as the Soga clan itself being a sorcery clan. Now, they also do have a lot more focus in the present time as well, outside of the current flashback, with them being the main reason we know why the Kaminabi is dogshit, and also probably what's going to be Akamura's motive moving forward of just killing all the sorcery families. But anyways, before those things continue, I think it's best if we have a solid foundation of information about each of these clans, because there are quite a bit of them now, as well as a few that aren't necessarily confirmed to be sorcery clans, but do seem to fall into that category. So today, I want to go over everything we know about every single one of these sorcery families, see if maybe we can figure out how they might be important later on, as well as any other secret information that maybe we can figure out just off of what we have now. So let's start off with the clan that we've probably gotten the most information about, besides maybe the Soga. The Sazanami family is the family in charge of the Rokuzaichi auction, which was the big second arc of the entire series. The Sazanami are an incredibly powerful family of sorcerers, with there being two hereditary sorceries passed down. The first one being Iso, which is just manipulation of basically air waves. You can use it to fly, you can use it to shoot the airwaves itself, and it only becomes really powerful when someone who is really creative has usage over it. The second hereditary sorcery the family has is the Storehouse. Now, this is a sorcery that's passed down to one person at a time, with that person being the patriarch of the Sazanami family, basically the head of the clan. The first ever patriarch of the clan actually had both of these sorceries, the Storehouse and Iso. To summarize what the Storehouse is basically it's the sorcerer's own pocket dimension, where by registering things with spiritual energy, they're able to transport them into this pocket dimension. The pocket dimension is infinite in size in all directions, as well as not necessarily having a limit of what you can put in it. It's just that registering a lot of stuff generally seems to take a lot of energy out of the users we've seen. Though the only user we've seen really register stuff is Hakuri, someone who had been going through a lot when he awakened the sorcery himself. On the note of that, Hakuri is one of the only few living Sazanami we know after the arc, with him having both sorceries, much like the first patriarch of the family. The other living members we know so far are Enji and Tamaki Sazanami, two former members of the Tao who are now probably co-heads of the Sazanami clan. We only know about a surviving group of children, but there could also be several other family branches out there who have a less pure bloodline but are still connected to the Sazanami themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised if later on they do play a role. Also, Soya might be alive. We don't know his fate after the first bonus chapter we had of him, so he might just end up dying in these bonus chapters, or he could make it into the current time after we get through the flashback arc. Next up, we have the Soga, the other clan that we know the most about in the story. The Soga also have two hereditary sorceries that we know about right now. The first one being Kurotsuchi. Kurotsuchi doesn't exactly have an explanation about how it works so far, but it's fairly simple based on what we see it do, with it being gravity manipulation. You can apply gravity to basically anything around you, with it being a person or an object, and you can also apply it to yourself, making you able to fly or making you incredibly heavy. Also, you can change the direction of the gravity, making you incredibly fast as well. We've seen one wielder of this sorcery so far, with it being Hiroto Soga, a former patriarch of the clan. We also know about another relative of his from 1,000 years ago who possessed the same sorcery and was the one to defeat the Mikoboshi. By the way, I don't really know if the Mikoboshi count as a sorcery family. I see them more as a people, so they will not be included in this video. But hey, maybe if we meet more sorcery families as the story continues, I'll do a part 2 of this kind of video where I talk about the Mikoboshi. Anyways, the current head of the clan in the flashback is Giyu Soga, someone who seems to believe that he can awaken the Kurotsuchi sorcery in himself, so we might get to see another wielder of it later on. As for the other hereditary sorcery in the family, it only appears in female members of the family, with it being the prophecy sorcery. Whoever has this sorcery becomes the princess of the family, seeing as only one person is able to have it at a time, where this person is able to get visions of the future. Now, these visions are sometimes from the far future or from events that will be happening very shortly. This can be used to basically change the future, and is also how the Soga became such a powerful family. Besides, Kurotsuchi being able to drown an entire island, that's still pretty helpful, but this is kind of the thing that really cemented them as the sorcery clan. Other members we've met of the clan so far are Akamura, who, I kind of can't really footnote this dude, but there's a lot of weird things with him. Maybe he will also awaken the Kuretsuchi sorcery in himself. Though he does get a little present from Kunishige later on, which kind of makes whatever sorcery he had irrelevant to the plot. We've also met 2 princesses so far, much like the 2 patriarchal heads we've met, one of them having died 3 years before the current events of the story, and the other one being Chiaki. Finally, we've also met people like Yoshinojo, who is just a very strong member of the Soga clan. And one member I'm very curious about who we haven't met is this female member right here on the family tree of the Soga. She seems to be from a middle kind of branch, so no one directly connected to the heads of the clan, but someone who has strong enough blood that they aren't considered as low-ranking as people like Akamura and Chiaki. So maybe she's actually a very strong swords fighter that we will get to see later on, as we didn't see her, like we did with the other 3, standing around Giyu. Maybe she hates Giyu. I would like her quite a bit if she hated Giyu. Anyways, let's move on to the next sorcery family, the Kagari. Now, the main member of the Kagari we know is Hiyuki, with her also being basically what the Kagari clan is known for, a wielder of the Flamebone of the Starving. The Flamebone of the Starving hasn't exactly been explained yet. All we know that it is an incredibly powerful contract, I'll call it, because it seems to not be a sorcery and not exactly something like an enchanted blade, as it seems to be a contract with some sort of incredibly powerful being, because you need to give this being direct orders or talk to whatever this is, as well as it also having limbs and sections that you can dictate and choose to use. It's a very weird thing overall, and we don't have a lot of concrete information about it, but we do know that people can have like a variation on how good they are with the Flamebone of the Starving. Someone like Hiyuki, when she was born, directly had full control of the Flamebone of the Starving right away, but there are multiple other wielders before her who didn't. The last time someone like Hiyuki was alive was 400 years ago. So it's very weird what it is, and everything about it is a big question for now. There's definitely another hereditary sorcery in the family, as in the little family photo we see of Hyugi's parents and someone who I'm guessing is her sister, that this woman here probably also has a sorcery that comes with the family, maybe just some sort of basic flame sorcery. I also do want to point out the outfit she is wearing, which looks almost identical to the Kaminabi uniform. My theory for this is that when the Kaminabi was formed, the Kagari clan were a big part of it. Now, they didn't exactly become the Kaminabi, but I imagine they hold a lot of power in the organization. So maybe that's why someone like Yatsuru, who is the biggest unknown of the 3 main heads of the Kaminabi, could be a Kagari herself, and she isn't really there that much. So if she's a Kagari, it would explain that she shows up for the important meetings, but then leaves for everything else, as being the head of the Kagari clan kind of takes precedent over being in the Kaminabi. Not to mention she wears the same lipstick. I just wanted to point that out. That's bothered me a lot. Next up is the Kyonagi, who you might know as the clan Char is from. Now, this clan was entirely wiped out at some point in the past, with the only surviving member who has been confirmed to be a Kyonagi being Char's mother. The clan possesses the innate ability to regenerate, although it seems like there is a limit to this regeneration. I'm assuming it's the head. However, another person who might be connected to this family is Yuki Sada. Now, his regeneration is a bit different than Char's, so my theory for this has always been that he could potentially be from a main branch of the family, or he could be from a very loosely connected branch of the family. So either he or his parents survived the massacre, and that's where he's from. It would explain how he has a similar innate regeneration like Char, but would also explain why it's so different. The Msumi are another clan we have a ton of information about, because we have seen 2 generations of them. They are ninjas, and in the present time, they work under people that they have high respect for, as they were pretty much almost entirely wiped out during the Seitei War, with only a few of them surviving. However, in the past, there seems to be a lot more of them. However, they still followed the same work in 3 groups. Now, we don't have confirmation that this person here is the head of the Msumi right now, but my guess is that they're just an elite soldier in charge of the current unit of the Msumi. They also seem to work under Izaru, or were just getting orders from him. So maybe we'll see him meet up with them after their mission here with Subaru. Next up are clans that have a lot more speculation around them, as well as none of these really being confirmed to be clans. Azami seems to be from a sorcery family himself. They discovered that they could use the metal in coins with an innate electrical ability to basically heal injuries and work as doctors. However, Azami transformed the sorcery into a more combat-focused version, and that got him kicked out of his family. Which is why he kind of is just always working with the government like his entire life. He probably sees the government as more of his family than the Azami clan probably ever was, as they encouraged his abilities rather than rejecting them. Next up is the Kudo clan. Now, this is another clan that isn't confirmed to exist. However, it would be very odd if Kudo isn't from a clan and was just straight up chilling with a bunch of human traffickers. As I do not think this is him, I think that this is him working with the Sorcery Bureau. So, I'm a little confused what's going on with Kudo, not to mention him lying about not being an exactly strong combatant. Like, dude, you fought in the war. I'd consider you strong. Finally, we have the Kaya clan, something that is just mentioned in a one-off dialogue by Kiora Sazanami at the Rakuzaichi auction. And one thing I would like to point out here is the thing that he talks about in this dialogue is that the Kaya clan had like weird physical attributes. And when I think weird physical attributes, I think about the dude who transforms his body more than anyone else in the series, Bingo. So maybe Bingo is one of the surviving members of the Kaya clan, much like Char is one of the surviving members of the Kyonagi. Finally, let's get into the other unnamed families, as well as some people I think might be from sorcery clans. We see several different patriarchs at the meeting at the Soga estate, and all these guys will probably have some sort of focus when we return to present time after the flashback, or they might get a little focus during the actual war itself, since we know a lot of these sorcery clans actually did fight in the war. Now finally, one person I think that might be from a sorcery family is Uran. Uran has a similar innate ability as the Ice Lady we met in Hakuri's flashback. So it's my belief that since we've seen so many of these clans that have been almost completely wiped out, that a lot of the Hishaku are from sorcery families that were wiped out, which would explain why a lot of them don't have any records. If an entire clan is wiped out, there's going to be a lot of burning, there's going to be a lot of killing, you're going to lose a lot of information about who's connected to those families. So it makes sense if the people who did survive, no one really knows who they are anymore. But anyways, that's just my theories for today, and pretty much everything I know about these sorcery families as of now. Now, we are getting a lot of Msumi focus in the current story, so maybe we'll learn more about them as the arc continues. But for now, that is all I have to say. If you guys have any thoughts on sorcery families that you want to say, please tell me them all below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Shout out to all my members.
We are Coolest Armored Squadron!
And thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time I talk Kagurabachi. Goodbye.